Hey folks, so I'm here making Cade 6's Ace of Spades pistol hand cannon from the game Destiny. So you are going to get all of this after the fact, because I'm making this for my non-binary friend's birthday present. They're a tiny person, and so this is 3D printed at 80% by my friend Belinda, who owns a 3D printer. I don't love 3D printed material. I find it really hard and brittle, so I've got every filing, sandpapering thing in my arsenal on my desk at the moment, just trying to get a smooth surface to glue with here. But I do want to keep it kind of porous because that helps with the glue as well. So first thing is, I don't know anything about guns, but this doesn't have a working hammer or trigger, or it doesn't have a mechanical hammer or trigger. And those are usually the fun parts of a toy gun. So what I do have is this spinning barrel here. So we're gonna try and make that, you know, as fun to work with as possible. I've got a fairly smooth join here from all the sanding I've been doing, so that should come together really snug right there, and that's gonna be pretty cool. These two joins I'm gonna leave pretty rough and ready because I've got a pretty wonky barrel right here, just with how the print came out, and that's fine because this is meant to be a pretty battle damaged weapon, right? So I'm gonna just cover it in soot and little dents and things. So day one was all about assembly, sanding, puttying, making 10 3D printed objects look and feel like one complete object. We're at the end of night one here. We've got a full assembly pretty much together. There's some green stuff filling in the seams there and some hot glue in here. So that's just gonna dry overnight, and I think that's gonna file down really smoothly, so I'm pretty pleased with that. I'm here at the end of day two, and I have a fully primed and assembled piece. I'm really not happy with how the seams have come out, but that was literally hours upon hours of filing and sanding and puttying. I'm just reassuring myself that that's as good as it's gonna get, and further hours aren't really gonna help me that much. So that's just what it's going to be like. There's the old saying that cosplay just has to look good from 10 meters away, and honestly it feels fun. It feels fun to hold. This clicks around just enough. Gonna let that sit overnight and paint tomorrow. I didn't mention, but the prime was done using Ironlak Sugar's Fads, which is their off-white spray. I then moved to my hobby paints using Citadel's Abaddon Black and Corvus Black for the dark areas, and Ceramite White for the lighter areas. It was of course at this point that I decided I wanted to use one of Ironlak's chrome paints, and so out came the masking tape. The finish of this chrome paint added to the illusion that this was a metal thing, simply painted this way, not a plastic toy. To me, it looks just a little bit too clean, so we're gonna go over it with a very thin layer of off-white. I added a spray lacquer and left it to hang for the night. Hey gang, so I have with me right here a complete assembled painted Ace of Spades, the gun of Cade 6 in Destiny. I want to talk for a sec about my friend Sheldon, who did my tattoo sleeve. He would talk about striving for imperfection when perfection was impossible. He was talking about drawing straight lines on the body to make these comic cells. So you'll see that they're all broken up in some way, because if he'd committed to trying to draw perfectly straight lines, it would look odd, because the body's not a perfectly flat surface. And I took that philosophy here, because this is a 10-piece object I was trying to make look and feel like one coherent piece, even with the moving parts. And within the lore of Destiny, this gun was broken in Cade 6's Last Stand, and the player character has the option to rebuild it. So there's a lot of things that aren't perfectly straight, but are close enough, and you can see the battle damage and the little bits of just warp and gunshot holes, soot, that sort of thing, that I tried to really bring to the table here in terms of making this imperfectly perfect. So thank you, Sheldon, for that lesson. It's always odd to find out where different lessons are going to come back and serve you in the future, you know? Shortly after that, my friend showed up, and they really teared up when they opened this, and it was really satisfying, and I'm really glad I could give this to them. One of their first reactions was to ask if it was a Halifax replica, and it's always really gratifying when people think something you've made is something you've bought. Then it was time for the second part of their present, as I had recruited my friend Kathy, who's a professional photographer, to take some action shots with this.